For New Orleans, it is worth a moment of reflection on how last season finished. Philly lost 6 of its last 7 games with an offense that completely disappeared and a defense that ranked 30th in scoring that was the worst in the history of the franchise. It couldn't have looked more bleak for the Birds. And then, General Manager Howie Roseman orchestrated what may have been the single greatest offseason in the history of the league. Start with the defense. Roseman brought in Vic Fangio to be the coordinator, someone who had been in charge of a top 3 defense 6 times in his career. And then he completely revamped a secondary that was ranked 31st in the league. He drafted 2 corners in the top 40, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Roseman also plucked a little-known linebacker named Zach Bond off of the Saints practice squad. If you say you noticed that move when it was made, I don't believe you. But overnight, those additions changed this defense into a force. They finished top 2 in both scoring and total defense for the first time since 1981. In these playoffs alone, they've had 10 takeaways, 3 of them from Bond, 2 of them from Mitchell. Now on offense, of course, Roseman signed Saquon Barkley, giving the 27-year-old running back $26 million guaranteed dollars. And in return, he added 50 explosive plays, the most of any player in the league. Quite literally everything Roseman has touched this year turned to gold. Barkley, Bond, DeJean, Mitchell, and Fangio are all finalists for 5 different awards, while Barkley and Bond were both named first-team All-Pro. This is just the 3rd time in the Super Bowl era that a team has 2 veteran first-team All-Pro selections who did not play for them the previous season. So draftings, signings, coaching hires. Most general managers would be proud if all those home runs got hit over the course of an entire career. Howie Roseman knocked them out in one off-season, and as a result, he may find the Lombardi waiting for him when he finishes circling the bases in New Orleans. That's what I think of the person who deserves the credit in Philadelphia. Neek, your thoughts?
I mean, I think you nailed it. You left Mekhi Becton off. He took a tackle and moved him to guard, which has really made that offensive line and continued to strengthen that offensive line. What they've done there has been incredibly impressive, and we've had over the course of, I guess, like 10 or 15 years, there's normally a time when a team wins a Super Bowl that does not have one of those kind of great, all-time great quarterbacks. And it comes when you have a roster like this, and it seems like they put together a roster that could potentially, I don't want to say the crazy thing because we know Patrick Mahomes never loses. Right. This talent on this roster, as you pointed out, I think it's unmatched in the NFL right now.
Dan, you were making a point about urgency in our meeting this morning, that from a salary cap standpoint, they need to get it done right now.
Pretty much. Like when they did Jalen Hurts' contract extension last offseason, they sort of floated a lot of the cash payments into the middle and back end of the contract so that they could, sign A.J. Brown, sign Devontae Smith, keep Jason Kelce one more year that they did last year. So there are some bills coming due. It's going to be off a big year, and can they afford to keep him? So they are in that zone. Hurts cap numbers and cash payments are going to start to go up here as the contract goes along. Same with Devontae Smith. They got a nice first-year cash flow situation with him. So yes, but I mean, to your point, Howie Roseman's done this before and knows how. So it'll be a matter of finding the next Zach Bond.
Yeah, and I think we forget, like Kelce is gone, Fletcher Cox is gone, Brandon Graham got hurt. Right? They're 3 kind of. Yeah. You would think a team would take a step back, and it's like all those players, as great as they all were, the team continues to get better and set new. It's amazing. Like you have to tip your cap to it. And again, the stability of their coaching this season with Fangio coming in as defensive coordinator, and then we think about Kellen Moore. And the commitment to Saquon Barkley in the run game, it complemented all of it, and I got a ton of respect for it.
Kellen Moore had a visit last night from several members of the New Orleans Saints organization it might be interested in taking him away from the Eagles when this season's over. So that's worth watching. But yeah, I think that's important to say. And I think you talk about those guys, Kelce and Fletcher Cox and then Brandon Graham. That was like a leadership core for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, to the point about Saquon maybe adding to that, like coming in as a new guy and being able to pull that off. Yeah, I mean, look, they're in the Super Bowl. They deserve all the credit.
So let me throw a thought at you, because, I mean, we view the Chiefs now as sort of this inevitable force, and for all the right reasons. They just keep winning, even through games where it doesn't really seem to make sense that they would. So I understand that. if we were just to take that out of the equation and we were just to line up the names on one side and the names on the other, if I said to you the Eagles are a better team, are the better team in the Super Bowl, would I be right?
I wouldn't say better team. I'd say more talented.
Okay, well that's what I mean. The players, they have more good, better players. Because terrible England.
I think I agree with Jeff. They're definitely more talented team, but that one position.
Well, you guys made a good point when I brought this up this morning in our meeting, and that I said, look, if Jalen Hurts is going to throw the ball like that, whatever it is that happened on Sunday, if Jalen Hurts is suddenly finding A.J. Brown down the field and all the rest of that, and they've got the running game that they have, that feels like a fairly unstoppable force. And you jumped in pretty quickly when pointing out that sometimes the competition has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I think Trent McDuffie is not likely to have as bad a game as Marshawn Lattimore did on Sunday. I think, again, the run defense of the Washington Commanders was a deficiency for them this year, and that showed up, obviously, as it often does when you play Saquon Barkley. But I think the Chiefs will be better up front. I think, look, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, right? I've sat here every single Friday all season, and when you put the graphic up, pick the Chiefs game. I'm the only one picking the Chiefs. Yep. They're 16-2. They're 17-2. They know how to win these games, and that sounds like a thing. That's not an X's and O's thing. It's not I played the game, but fundamentally, they are exceptional at immediately figuring out what kind of game they're in, and then what they need to do to win. I heard a lot of Tiger Woods talk on this show yesterday when I was watching, talking about Tiger and how he used to intimidate opponents. But the thing I thought when I'm comparing them to Tiger Woods is, if Tiger would have a day where the driver wasn't working and he's missing the fairway, he would be able to figure out, okay, here's what I need to do today to fix this. Here's the kind of shots I need to hit that other people can't hit. That's Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, and that's why they are so lethal, and that their top skill is winning the game.
It reminds me a lot of the Warriors during their run, in that they've been in so many of these moments that they don't need to come to the sideline and have the coach explain to them how to address this problem. It's like they're doing this. This is how this team is trying to beat us. You remember 3 years ago, another group tried that. So we answer that with this. They're ready for every situation because they've been in them so long and they have such a good core.
The piece that you saw when the Chiefs came back from the Bills, the last 13 seconds, and Travis Kelce talking to Patrick Mahomes, they have problem solvers that are players, not just coaches. That stuff matters. I will say this about the Chiefs too, that I hope the Eagles don't fall into this trap. They bait you into playing their style of game. And if you're the Eagles, and I'm just saying, you said the Chiefs have a top 10 rush defense, right? So maybe we should try some. You got to do what got you here. You better put the pads and the onus and go run in between that, because the Houston Texans ran the ball fairly decent. Cooks was running the ball fairly decent against this Chiefs. What happens is teams fall out of what they should be doing, and they fall into the trap of the game that the Chiefs want to play. You have to be well coached. You got to be well